Hey, welcome to Voice Church Online Coronavirus Shelter at Home Edition. This is absolutely unprecedented times and full of a whole lot of uncertainty, anxiety. We hope today fills you a little bit more hope and joy.
Yeah, obviously, it's a wild time, and because of that, we didn't feel it was going to be safe for us to invite the worship team here to lead us all in worship, and you definitely don't want any of us in this household to be leading you in worship.
Nope.
So if you guys remember from last week, JP came and led worship. Well, he's all the way in Texas visiting his family right now, and he's ready to lead us in a time of worship. So JP, we're going to kick it over to you.
Good morning, Voice Church. It is such a pleasure to be back with you again today. I got to be with you in the online experience this last weekend, which was such a joy. And even though we're kind of in this really strange time where none of us are really sure what's going to happen next, we wanted to encourage you just to take these moments to worship and to sing, but also just to pray and reflect and begin to ask God, what would He have you do in this moment? In a time when we can't really do anything in terms of going outside or moving from our houses, but I believe that God can begin to grow us from the inside in this season in a way like never before. So we're going to sing these songs together, and I just want to invite you to take these moments and let them be sacred and precious. Let's sing this out together today. Oh, Jesus, God, we give these moments to you. Higher than the mountains that I face, stronger than the power of the grave, constant in the trial and the change. One thing remains, one thing remains, that your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. Your love is on and on and on and on it goes. We sing for it overwhelms, for it overwhelms and satisfies my soul. And I never ever have to be afraid, 'cause this one thing remains. Oh, this one thing remains, that your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. Your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. And your love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. Jesus, your love, oh, your love is in death, in life. I'm confident and covered by the power of your great love. My death is pain. There's nothing that can separate my heart from your great love. So love never fails and never gives up, and never runs out on me. We sing it. Your love never fails, never gives up, it never runs out on me. No, your love never fails, never gives up, it never runs out on me. Oh, your love, sing it. Your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out on me. Jesus, your love never fails, it never gives up, it never runs out 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You seen this out? I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know that we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, because you know just what we need before we ever say a word. You're a good, good father. It's who you are, who you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. Oh, it's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are, Jesus. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Because you are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. We sing it out that you are. You are perfect in all of your ways, God. You are perfect in all of your ways. Oh, Jesus, you're perfect in all of your ways to us. And love so unexplainable, I can hardly speak. And peace so undeniable, I can hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am, Jesus. It's who I am. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are, God. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. God, we love you today. You unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. We sing this out together. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Yes, I am been born again. I know to a family, and your blood flows through my veins. So we say, I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. Yes, I'm no longer a slave to fear. 'Cause I am a child of God. I am your child, Lord. I know I belong to you, Jesus. Always, always, always. And Jesus, we say that you split the sea so I can walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I can stand and sing. I am a child of God. We declare this out today. Come on. That you split the sea so I can walk right through it. My fears are drowned in perfect love. You rescued me so I can stand and sing that I am a child of God. Oh, I am a child of God. I know that I am a child of God. Can we sing this chorus together one more time? We declare it over our house. We declare it over our families. We declare it over our own souls today. I'm no longer a slave to fear. Yes, I am a child of God. Make that your prayer. I'm no longer a slave to fear. 'Cause I am a child of God. Father, we thank you that we belong to you today. That no matter what is going on in this world, no matter what we face, you are always with us. You said that in this world we would have trouble. That we would face times that we don't understand, that we don't know what to do with. But you said that you would be with us always, even to the end of the age. And so we trust you for that today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Well, hey, welcome to Voice Church Online. If you're watching this, it's in one of four places. It's Facebook, YouTube, our church online platform, which is at our website, voice.church, or on IGTV. I just want to say thank you in the middle of crazy, unprecedented times that you're going to take time to prioritize. I know a lot of you guys are watching are actually gathering your family together and watching this together as a family. I just want to say that's such great leadership and times of prioritizing the right things in crazy seasons. Throughout this whole teaching, and we're going to do this as much as possible, is we're going to encourage you to answer some questions right in the platform you're at right now in the comment section. So with that, on a scale of 1 to 10, here's your first question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being kind of like, I'm not worried at all, 10 being, I'm freaking out, where would you say you are at right now? I think I'm probably at a 6, 6.5. I think our kids are lower for themselves as far as stress, but higher for those that are vulnerable within our family and within our community. So they're probably at a higher stress level, or they're definitely at a higher stress level for grandma and grandpa, lower for them. I think they even out to right around 7 is what they're saying. You got to know the leadership of this church is in constant conversation about how we can walk in faith and in love, but also in wisdom. So please stay tuned to social media platforms. We'll broadcast over them all, as well as the email newsletter, because we got some cool ideas coming. And as needs come and as things develop, we'll give you more information. I think it's pretty an understatement for us to say that in this season there's a lot of uncertainty. A lot of uncertainty. We're learning more and more about the virus every single day, and it seems like the guidelines that are being set forth by our civil leaders and the CDC are constantly developing. I'm even being vague right now because by the time you watch this, I don't know if things have developed even more. But you got to know that for us as a church, we're trying to do our best to honor the government, honor the CDC. And we said this last week that us doing this is not out of fear. It's really important to understand that we're not doing this out of fear. We're not doing online church out of fear. We're doing it out of love. Not for I'm not really concerned about myself or my immediate family in this house. We're all relatively young, relatively healthy. What I'm concerned about is that we gather a couple hundred of us on a Sunday morning and we are like a little petri dish and we end up infecting vulnerable people that are within our sphere of connections because we just wanted to get together. And so I think that is irresponsible. And I actually think that's unloving. So we are meeting online out of love and out of faith and out of alignment with biblical values. But I don't know where you're at right now. We're all looking at this thing from different points of view. All of us have events that have been canceled. Team World Vision, we're running for clean water, and the OC Marathon that we're all going to run was canceled. I know people in the church whose weddings have been canceled. I know everyone's trying to figure out, man, what does this look like for me as an employee, as a business owner, as a leader, as a teacher, as a student, trying to figure out how do I go forward and not just binge Netflix all day, but how do I be productive? And obviously for us as believers, there's a whole nother layer for us to figure out and think through. And God, what do you want me to do as a believer? What does my faith demand of me? What does love demand of me? And if you find yourself in a higher risk segment of our population, then it's more than just being inconvenienced and not having enough toilet paper. It's life-threatening. And I totally understand that. And we're going to hear us say this over and over again. But if you need support, if you need someone to talk to, if you need someone to pray with you, man, call or text us anytime. We are here for you more than ever. This is our time to shine as the church. So a couple of verses I want us to go through before we hop into our teaching for today. First one is Proverbs 17:17. And it says that a friend loves at all times. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. So you were born for this. We were born for this. This is definitely a difficult time, a time of adversity. So man, you were born for this. We as the church, brothers and sisters in Christ, were born from this. So what do brothers do? Brothers check in on each other. We encourage each other. We carry the load for each other. But most importantly, we just make sure the other person is taken care of. And so we want to do that for each other as a church. So in times of disconnection, I want to encourage you to not disengage, right? We need to be socially distanced. We need to be socially disconnected from one another on a physical standpoint. We can't all be in the same room together. That doesn't mean we need to be disengaged with relationships. Even right before, I had to film this later on in the day because there were two E-groups. Natalie was leading an E-group in one room, and the Ordas, Mike and Tiff, were leading an E-group in their room. And how cool is that? Then in the middle of social distancing, in the middle of me about to film a sermon for Sunday morning, there are two small groups meeting online all over Southern California. So we'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But there's another passage in the book of Acts, Acts chapter 2, where it says in verse 44, now all who believed were together and had all things in common. It doesn't mean that they agreed on all things. All things in common means that, hey, what's mine is yours, man. You need eggs? I got eggs. You need toilet paper? Got a ton of toilet paper, right? We have things in common. There's no mine and yours. It's ours. We share. And then it says next verse 45, and sold their possessions and goods and divided them among all as anyone had need. So once these people became believers, they not only shared their possessions, they got in their closet and were like, you know what? I don't need that many coats. I don't need that many shoes. I'm going to sell some of that stuff so that I have resources freed up to support the ministry and expand the kingdom and help those in need. And then next verse it says, so continuing daily with one accord in the temple, which means they worshiped together in the temple, in the church, and breaking bread house to house. Breaking bread means taking communion, but also just having fellowship, to use a churchy word, to hang out with one another. So they met in the church, worshiped together, and then they met house to house. And it says they ate their food with gladness and simplicity of heart. That they went to the basics of life, simplicity. They ate together. They built relationships. They spent time with one another, praising God and having favor with all the people. And the Lord added to their church daily those who were being saved. So they worshiped. They met together in the church. They met together in small groups, house to house. They did life together. They shared their resources with those in need. They lived selflessly instead of selfishly. And you know what? The world took notice. They didn't have big outreaches. They weren't bringing in Justin Bieber to come speak. They didn't have petting zoos. And none of that stuff is bad. You know what I mean? I've been a part of leadership teams where we did all that kind of stuff. We didn't have Bieber, but we had, stars come in and drew crowds. I'm not saying that stuff is bad. What I'm saying is they didn't do any of that in the early church to grow the church. Do you know how they grew the church? They met together and worshiped. They went house to house and shared life together. And when there was need, they sold whatever they needed to sell. They cut back on their expenses. They didn't hoard. They cut back on their expenses. They said, what do I need? And let's give the rest away. And the world took notice and said, I want to be a part of that. Look, the church, the capital C church, not just Voice, but the capital C church is created for far more than just having Sunday morning experiences. Because if the church is just for Sunday morning experiences, then the church is going to shrink dramatically in this next season. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think what we're going to see over the next weeks, months, who knows how long we're in this quarantine situation. But I think over this next season, the church is going to actually grow in influence. I think the church is going to be shaken awake that we can do more. We're about more than just holding services that are shinier and better and cooler than the last one. That we are called to pray. We're called to worship. We're called to share life. That these situations are forcing us to get back to the basics, just like the early church. Because if we were meant to worship God, if the church was meant to worship God, to build relationships, to meet the needs in a community, so that those far from faith would take notice, then the church has a really rare opportunity right now. A really rare moment to shine like we've never shined before. So here's my challenge to you. Stay engaged. Stay engaged. You have to be socially disconnected. That doesn't mean you need to be socially disengaged from your faith community. Stay engaged. First of all, by doing online gatherings like this. Every Sunday, we're going to meet together at 10:30. And then on our website at voice.church, or you can just go to live.voice.church, every 90 minutes, that Sunday service is playing over again. So take part in that. We're going to do Facebook and Instagram lives every day as much as we can. It's not always going to be Natalie and I. It's going to be different people in the church. And one day may be a devotional. One day may be a conversation. One day may just be a game thing. The other day, Mike and Tiff were playing Mad Gab on their Instagram, and it was a blast. And all those of you guys that took a part know how much fun you had. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to do. Build community. Less teachings, more hangs. And then the second thing is we're going to do e-groups, or we are doing e-groups. So our small groups have moved online, and 9 new groups have launched already. So we have 20 plus small groups that are meeting online. You're going to hear us call them e-groups for this next season because they're electronic groups. So be a part of that. If you're not part of a small group yet, now is the time. All right? You don't have to fight traffic. You just have to press a button and join the group online. More information is on our website for that, or just reach out. We got plenty of time to help you. And lastly, engage with your neighbors and communities. We're going to work on these little quarter sheet flyers that you can either download and print off, or we're looking at maybe even printing them off for you and having them available for pickup if you want to drive by the office and pick up some hanging out outside. We'll figure out a sanitary way to do it. But these flyers are just going to say, hello, my name is blank. My cell phone number is blank. I'm one of your neighbors. Just wanted to reach out and let you know that if there's anything you need, please call or text. And that's it. And then you just tape that to some of your neighbors' homes or their front doors. And then who knows, maybe you could be a blessing to the person at risk or the elderly individual a few houses down that just needs someone to go get some groceries for them. You never know how Christ's light can shine through you in this season. So with that, we're going to jump into the abbreviated teaching for today. We're in a series called Hello, My Name is Jesus, and we're going to jump back into that. And it's in Luke chapter 9 and verse 7. It says, "What Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee, heard about everything Jesus was doing, he was puzzled. Some were saying that John the Baptist has been raised from the dead. Others thought Jesus was Elijah or one of the other prophets risen from the dead. I beheaded John," Herod said. "So who is this man about whom I hear such stories?" And he kept trying to see him. This is really interesting because Herod is the guy who captured John the Baptist, the person who went before Jesus, had him beheaded, right? And then all of a sudden, these miracles are happening. He's going, who is this Jesus guy? I'm hearing these stories about this guy who's doing miracles and talking about kingdom and talking against leaders, the civil leaders. But I thought I got rid of John. Is this John reincarnated? Or maybe this is Elijah reincarnated, or Jeremiah? Because he was confused. It says he was puzzled. But it ends with, and he kept trying to see him. He was puzzled, and he kept trying to see him. He was confused. And I'll tell you what, if you follow Jesus for any amount of time, you'll spend a whole lot of time being puzzled. Because of situations in life, because things that God asks you to do that you don't want to do or don't make any sense until they make sense eventually. But yet, there is this magnetic pull that draws you towards him. And can I even speak to those of you that may have stumbled upon this video and you're done with institutionalized church, that you don't go to church right now because you used to go to church and you've seen things. You've been hurt by the church. I can tell you, I've been hurt by the church. And I'm sure as a pastor, I have hurt people without intending to. And so maybe you've given up on the idea of church. Can I challenge you? Maybe put church aside. Because if you're being honest with yourself, my guess is in the middle of this confusion and being puzzled and being hurt, there's still this magnetic pull towards the person of Jesus. So maybe put the church thing aside for a moment, because you can't go to a church right now anyways, and just lean into that. What would it look like for you to follow Jesus? What would it look like for you to live the way he asked you to live? What would it look like to eliminate some of the barriers between you and him if you started a conversation with him again? Follow that magnetic pull, because Herod was the same way, puzzled, confused. But yet it says, and he kept trying to see him. Your soul is calling out to the soul of God. Allow that to happen. So we're moving right along. Verse 12. This is the story that's actually one of the only stories outside of the crucifixion and resurrection that are in all four Gospels, and it's the feeding of the 5,000. And it says, verse 12, late in the afternoon, after Jesus had been teaching all day, the 12 disciples came to him and said, "Send the crowds away to the nearby villages and farms so they can find food and lodging for the night. There's nothing to eat here in this remote place. We're in the middle of nowhere. The Costco's here have no toilet paper. There's no eggs at Albertsons. Like we're in the middle of nowhere. Go send the people, Jesus, to go get some food. And Jesus goes, you feed them. You feed them. Interesting response. We'll talk about that. But they replied, we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Another gospel writer says that actually they got this bread and this fish from a boy who gave up his lunch. But that's a whole nother thing. So they have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, they answered. Or are you expecting us to go and buy enough food for this whole crowd? So they're getting super logistic, super practical. Jesus, that's cute. We'll feed them for sure. Let me give you all the reasons why that's impossible, right? Jesus was very simple. Go feed them. No, Jesus, there's nothing around here. We don't have enough money to buy stuff for everybody. And we only have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And then it says, for there were about 5,000 men there. And you got to know that's just men. So there were women and children on top of that. Probably not a ton, but more than 5,000 people in total. Jesus replied, all right, cool. There's no food around here. We don't have enough money to buy them food anyways. Cool. Have them sit down in groups of 50. You would think Jesus would go, there's no food around here. We don't have enough money to buy them food anyways. So go send them, tell them to come back tomorrow. He doesn't do that. He says, go ahead and tell them to sit down in groups of 50 each. So the people all sat down. Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish and looked up towards heaven and blessed them. He thanked God for them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he kept giving the bread and fish to the disciples so they could distribute it to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted. And afterwards, the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. This is a trippy story. What the heck is going on? There are a few points I want us to draw out, and then we'll close out here. First one is this. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Right now, all I see, especially the pastor heart in me, the church leader heart in me, just the human in me, sees all these needs. And I'm going, can I manufacture masks from home? Can I help with the vaccination process? Can I volunteer as tribute to be a volunteer to test the vaccine? How can I help? I wish I had a bunch of eggs and toilet paper. I wish we would have known about this earlier. We could have stockpiled toilet paper for the last year and then given them away. Gosh, I would have loved to do that. So we can be overwhelmed by the need. And then a lot of times what we do then is I can't do for everybody, so I'm not going to do anything at all. And instead, our heart should be, man, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. Look, you can't help every elderly person get groceries, but you can help that one neighbor. You can't call or text everybody in the world, but you can text your brother. You can text or call your parents. You can do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. And I just want to say thank you to those of you in our church family that have reached out. Behind the camera right now, about as tall as me, are diapers and baby supplies and formula and wipes so that we can bless single parents or teen parents that are having a hard time right now. Not to even mention people like Maria, who has already bought supplies and delivered them to the teen parents. I just want to thank you for that. And the individuals that have stepped forward and said, man, if you know anybody in need, let us know. We want to go buy groceries for them or help them. So do for one what you wish you could do for everybody. You can't help everyone, but you can help someone. You can't solve everything, but you can maybe solve one person's problem. All the disciples saw was a logistical nightmare, a logistical impossibility. But it was simple for Jesus. Jesus said, feed them. Feed them. Second thing is this. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Jesus said you. And if you look at the original language, the you is emphatic. You feed them. Not you talk about it. You pray about it. You post it on social media about the needs and the government and all these people and those people in their political party need to get their crap together. No. You be part of the solution. You may not have all the resources or the talents of somebody else, but what do you have? What's in your hand? The disciples just had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. They had a kid's sack lunch. Not enough. But them, plus a supernatural provision of God, was enough. So, instead of focusing on what you don't have, God asks us to focus on what you do have. So what do you have? Do you have a talent? Can you write? Then write. Can you sing? Then sing some songs to bring hope and joy in people's life right now. Are you just naturally a funny person? I'm not, but if you're naturally a funny person, then dude, put videos online. Put online gatherings together. Bring hope. I love people like Michael Jr. I think he's absolutely hilarious. This Sunday, he's putting a free comedy special online just to bring hope and joy to people. Can you speak? Then speak hope. Do you have influence? Then use your influence to leverage hope. Do you have access to toilet paper? Then let it rain toilet paper. Right? Whatever you can do, what's in your hand? Use what you have to help in some way. Look, you may have a car that runs really well and you're okay. You got gas money. Then you know what? We have diapers and stuff that need to be delivered. Drop by. I'll leave them at the front doors. We don't have to touch. We can make eye contact through the window, right? We can hold hands through the window, but you can pick up the stuff and deliver it. There are things that you can do. If you get Uber Eats or Postmates or whatever, bless the socks off of them with their tip. All right? So, 1, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. 2, what's in your hand. 3, it won't always make sense. Look at this progression, man. They say, Jesus, we should send all these people home because we don't have enough food. And he goes, you feed them. He's like, yeah, we can't do that. We have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. And Jesus' response was, yeah, you're right. Go ahead and put them in groups of 50. And you know what they did? They started putting them in groups of 50. And you got to realize, when they're calling out and saying, hey, everyone, get in groups of 50. And people are asking them, why? What's their response? Because they don't know what Jesus is going to do. It doesn't make any sense. So what do they say? I don't know, man. Big man says that we have to go in groups of 50, so we're going in groups of 50. There's going to be times in your life where the first few steps you take won't make any sense. When Jesus starts giving them little pieces of bread to give out, little pieces of fish to give out, they're going, this is not going to go very far. We won't even get past the first group of 50. But yet they had enough. And then they had enough. And then they had enough as they were actively obeying. Very rarely in Scripture do you see someone, getting God's provision before they obey. It's always this, they were healed as they walked, right? God provided in this situation food as they were acting out in obedience. So how about you? This is why God can't bless hoarding. This is why the principle of first fruit, the principle of tithe, is that I give God my first. My first act is an act of obedience, and I believe that God will take care of the rest. So it won't always make sense. And I don't know what God is asking you to do, but I know in moments like this, he's probably activating you in some way to do something. And you're probably like, well, how the heck am I going to do that? I don't know. Take the first step in obedience. 4th thing is this: do everything unto God. Do everything unto God. So Jesus took the food, gave it to, or pointed up towards heaven, and blessed it. Thanked God for the food. And what is that? Jesus is recognizing the Father as the source of everything. That's what we need to do too. We may have $100 and we're going, I want to give this $100 away, God. But I give it to you and I say, God, thank you that you've given me the ability to have $100 that I can give away. I know that this came from you, and if I give it away, you're going to give me more to give away. God, I'm about to sing this song. I'm not going to, but maybe if you have a gift to sing. God, I have this gift to sing a song, and I'm going to sing a song to encourage people. But man, I don't do this onto me. I don't do this to grow my following or my platform. I do this to honor you. God, I believe that you will empower it to give blessing to people. So do everything unto God. And then lastly, God is a God of more than enough. God is a God of more than enough. They picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. So here's what I believe. I believe that when each of us do all that we can, together, there's always more than enough. More than enough manpower, more than enough resources, more than enough skilled labor, more than enough finances. When we all work together and do what we can, there's more than enough. But I've been in church leadership long enough that whenever there is lack in a church, whenever they don't have enough manpower, they don't have enough finances, or there's tensions there, it's because there's the opposite of what we talked about. There's this mentality of, hey, that's not my job. I don't do that. Let someone else do that. I give financially, so I'm not going to serve. Right? That's not my job. Or someone's overwhelmed by that. We can't feed every homeless person. Right? Or, you know what? What I have isn't enough. I'm not that good of a singer. I'm not that good of a writer. I'm not that outgoing. Or I'm not enough yet. Just give me some time. Or what I have isn't enough, and you can't have what I have. This is mine. Right? Or there's someone that says it has to make sense. It needs to make sense for me to take the next step. Or instead of thanking God, we take the credit. It needs to be about us. But again, what I want to challenge you to do is 1, do for one what you wish you could do for everyone. 2, look in your hand. What's in your hand? What do you have in this season to give away? Don't be overwhelmed by the need. Don't be overwhelmed that, man, I'm just not good enough. What's in your hand? Let's give that away. Let's give that away. 3, it doesn't always have to make sense. It won't always make sense. Remember, follow Jesus, puzzled a lot of times. It's just part of it. The last thing is God is a God of more than enough. And when we pick up the baskets after this whole thing blows over in weeks or months, when we pick up 12 baskets of leftovers, when we begin to recognize the miracle that happened, when we all gather together, when we all collectively as Voice Church family said, here's what's in my hand. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can contribute. Here's how I can help. I have a car. I can sing. I can write. I have some finances. I have connections. I have toilet paper. Whatever. Like, I can help. When we all work together on the other side of this thing, we're going to be picking up all the baskets of leftovers. In that moment, when we're taking a moment to recognize, holy cow, a miracle happened. Here's what I believe. The church will be stronger. You will be stronger spiritually. That I actually believe the church is going to grow numerically, spiritually, in our depth, in our relationship with God. So I believe this is such an appropriate, timely message for us right now. So here's my challenge to you. If you're not in a small group yet, if you're not in an e-group yet, join one now. Do not pass go. Do not stop and do something else or you're going to forget. Reach out and join an e-group now. You can go to the small groups page. You can just text us, call us, email us, DM, whatever. Join an e-group because the e-groups this week are going to dive into this and have more practical conversation of what does it look like for us to flesh this out practically in our neighborhoods so that we can make a difference. Let me pray for us. All right. God, I just thank you that you are not surprised by all this. I pray for all my friends that are in need right now. God, I pray that you would provide peace in the middle of crazy times. God, I pray you would help us to know as a church what we're supposed to do. God, I pray you would speak through each of us. We would be a city on a hill. God, I pray we would be the salt of the earth, the light of the world in moments like this. God, I pray that people would see that you are good and your people are trying our best to represent you well. God, I pray that no one in our Voice Church family or no one connected to our Voice Church family would feel alone, would feel isolated, would have needs that are unmet. But God, I pray, would you help us to be your church? In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys. God bless you guys. If you need anything, text, call, reach out. We want to be here for you more than ever. We are a church family now. All right. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys later.